Hey, Wendy, I got a question for you. Is Wendy there?
Yeah, hi.
How many applications did Mountain View just have?
Ooh, we had quite a few hundred, so it was a pretty good work by the cohort getting in for sure. So excited to see how many we have come in for this one. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Google for Education Innovator Program Innovator Panel and Question and Answer session. We're going to just hang tight for a moment while folks join us, but feel free to start asking your questions in the Plus event or on Twitter, hashtag Google EI, and we'll get started in just a moment.
Hey, just testing my audio. Can someone let me know if this is working?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, great, thanks.
Awesome. Well, we have people starting to slide into the Hangout, so we'll go ahead and get started because we have a whole host of really awesome Google for Education certified innovators in various states of transport and hangoutness and probably relaxing at the end of their day. So thank you guys all for joining us. Again, this is the Google for Education Innovator Program panel. So if you're watching this right now on YouTube or Google+, you're likely interested in applying to this program. And we're so fortunate to have this group with us today to share their experience with us, hopefully answer some of your questions, and get you ready to join this awesome group of educators from around the world. So come on in, and wherever you're watching from today, if it's in Twitter or Google+, feel free to just introduce yourselves. We're about to introduce our panelists and overview the application and answer any of your questions that you might have and hear from our panelists. So go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we'll be on the back channel chatting with you as well. And panelists, wherever you are, you're welcome to chat on Twitter or in the Google+ event as well. Cool. Well, we're all here. This is our Mountain View 16 cohort that we just had at the Googleplex headquarters in Mountain View. So that's why we're all here today, is to hopefully learn from folks like these and some of our past cohorts that we've had about why you might want to change the world of education in whatever setting that you're at. The applications are now open and they're due on May 10th. So we still have plenty of time. The only requirements you need are some sort of vision, an innovative history in schools to change education, and you also need the Level 2 Google for Education certification. And we'll chat a bit about what those two mean and get any tips from our panelists on those, but just a quick run view of what you might need to get into this program. If you want these slides, they're at bit.ly/innovatorslides. And we drop those in the community as well. And it might be a great idea if you want to just go ahead and open a second tab and follow along at certifiedinnovators.com. That's where all of our dates are, information on those two requirements we just shared, and of course the link to the application. So if you want to do double duty, you can do that. And again, feel free to ask questions anytime. Google+ event site, so you can watch this later if you need to go or share it with a colleague that you think might be interested in it. And we have our Twitter hashtag GoogleEI, so if your Plus isn't working right now, you're welcome to also post a question in there, and we'll be combing through all of those various channels throughout our time together tonight. Cool, and hopefully you catch the archive. But now let's meet all these awesome people who are Google for Education certified innovators, and then we'll dive into the program itself. So we're just going to roll along the bottom here, and panelists, if you wouldn't mind briefly just introducing yourself, your cohort that you were a part of for the Innovator program, and maybe what you're up to right now, whether that's your role or what you're working on in the education world. So David, let's start with you. All right, David, we might come back. I know David was at the gym, so he might be getting some reps in. So we'll come back after this set, David, all right? We got James. How's it going, James Sanders?
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here, Wendy. Thank you for having me. I was in the London 2012 cohort and classroom teacher by trade, or I guess recovering middle school teacher to be more accurate. And now I spend my days working on an awesome project called Breakout EDU and a member of the EdTech team.
Awesome. Thanks so much, James. And Jared, how's it going, Jared? Thanks for joining us today, fresh from Mountain View 16 yourself.
Doing well, yeah. My name's Jared Amelong, hashtag MTV16. I work here in Northern California in a small town called Auburn. I'm a teacher by trade, but now I actually am an administrator working with computer science teachers in our region. So pleased to be here today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jared. Cool. And Jay Atwood joining us from Singapore.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Jay Atwood. I'm currently in Singapore at Singapore American School, where I'm the high school technology coordinator. I was at GTA Mountain View 2012 for my own cohort, and then I was one of the innovation coaches for Team Black Eyed Peas, which Jared was a member of in this last in the first Innovator Academy last or in February, whenever that was. And I am finishing up here in Singapore this year, and I'm going to be going full-time with the EdTech team, and as the regional director of Asia and IMEA, which is India, Middle East, and Africa. So that's what's coming up with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. And thanks, everyone, for joining in on the back channel in the Plus event. We have folks joining us from Missouri, New York, Colorado, North Carolina. So thanks, everyone, for sharing in the background. Feel free to introduce yourself and start asking those questions now you have for our panelists. But thanks, Jay. Let's see, Kim. Hi, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Polishuk. I'm from just north of Toronto, Thornhill, Ontario, and I teach in the York Region District School Board. I'm a digital literacy resource teacher. I support about, our school board has about 120,000 kids, and we divide that up among our teams. So I've got about 49 schools. And I am a proud member of the most recent Google Innovator Academy in Mountain View 2016.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Kim. All right, and from the Uber, Les. Oops, I think you might still be muted.
There you go. There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Leslie Macbeth, and I am a teacher in Toronto. I think I'm currently breaking all the rules of Uber pool etiquette by joining a conference call from the back of an Uber pool. And I teach full-time at a school called Greenwood College, and I was a member of the most recent MTV 16 cohort. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, and Mark.
Sorry, I also had to unmute, but I'm here in Irvine at what we like to call it mission control for EdTech team, but former high school English teacher, been a tech coordinator at the site, district, and county levels, but happily for the last 10 years I've been doing this, and of course was involved with the GTA from the very first one in 2006, so we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary. And helped run it for a lot of years, and really thrilled just to be a program advisor on this current iteration. By the way, super awesome to see so many of our new cohort here, particularly for those of you watching, because they're the only ones to have been through the new format. So really excited about sharing that with everybody today.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. Cool. And there's two places in the back channel. Also, there's a Q&A section if you're watching it, and then also just on the event page itself if you're wondering, where you can say hi to everyone too. So awesome. More people coming in from South Carolina, Ash Grove, Missouri, lots of Missouri. So very cool. Awesome, guys. Marlena, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us. My name is Marlena Hebron, and I work in Fresno. I'm a former teacher, but now I'm a coordinator of instructional technology services, and we train teachers in our county using technology in the classroom. And I am a graduate of MTV 16.
Awesome. Thanks, Marlena. And before I forget, I'm going to scoot over to another MTV 16 because David's back on the line. But David, you were first, and we figured you were on a set. So want to introduce yourself to everyone? Oops, I think you might still be on mute. Oh, still not working. We'll try again. No worries, but you can chat in the Google Plus event too. Thanks, David.
Bummer, he doesn't have the mute icon, but we can't hear him.
Cool. Michael, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Mike DeLeon from Illinois, and I'm an instructional tech specialist here in Valley View School District. And I too am a recent grad from MTV 16.
Awesome. We're so excited to hear about your experience. Thanks for joining us, Mike. And the lovely Michelle, thanks for joining us.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me. I'm Michelle Armstrong. I'm from Calgary in Canada, and hello to all the Canadians watching, as well as all of our lovely Canadians on the panel. So excited to be here in Canada, and I'm working for EdTech team as the Regional Director for Canada, and also thrilled to be a part of the Innovator Academy on the Programming Management team.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And Sandra, a coach from our MTV 16 as well. Okay, we'll come back. We're going to come to Sarah and then to Sandra. Okay. Hey, Sarah. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. My name is Sarah Thomas, and I am from GTA Atlanta 2014, class of 2014. And right now what I'm doing in education is that I'm a regional technology coordinator in the DC metro area, Prince George's County Public Schools to be exact. So very excited to be here.
Awesome. And Sarah's was also right up against the ISTE conference as well, just as this Colorado cohort will be. So I think you might have some tips for squeezing it all in that week for sure. Awesome. Sergio, thanks for joining us from Texas tonight.
Hey all, my name is Sergio Villegas. Right now I'm in Austin, Texas, and I just recently moved out here. I used to be the EdTech coordinator for the Napa County Office of Education, and I'm super excited to be one of the leads for the Boulder GTA coming up. But I was the GTA Austin, one of the last GTAs, the old format. I was one of the last ever inducted Google certified teachers, so last of the old guard. Happy to be here.
That's awesome. We're so stoked to have all you guys. So thanks again for joining us. So quite a few you might have noticed are on someone. Sorry, Les. I'm going to mute you really quick, I think. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, a lot of the folks who are on the panel today, hopefully you're getting a sense of how strong this community is, but they're from our newest cohort, they're coaches or leads from the actual cohorts themselves, mentors, so we've got a whole slew of different types of roles joining us today. So thanks again, guys, for taking the time. Cool. Just a few quick housekeeping things for those of you who want a couple of details about the program and how you can get involved, and then we'll dig in a little bit into the application itself and any tips that our panelists can share or inspirations and help you think of what your vision might be, that why you want to join this program, or what kind of change you might want to impact at your sites. But the next cohort begins in Boulder, Colorado. You can see here we just had our last cohort in Mountain View, but the dates are May 10th is our application deadline, and it's a year-long program. So not only do you attend an academy, but you do want to be available for the entire year of pre-academy work, post-academy work, and working on your projects that you have, your visions that you want to change education. But you do need to be available for June 29th through July 1st in Boulder, Colorado. That definitely is a requirement, and probably, as a lot of our panelists can say, one of the most memorable parts of being part of this program for sure. There is limited travel assistance available, so just wanted to throw that out there, that apply, right? Get your application in, don't worry about that, and we can cross that bridge when we come to it, but we wanted to make sure that you knew that there is certainly some assistance available should anyone need it. And then the heart of what this program is about this year is a year-long project that we'll hear from our panelists that centers around innovating, and that means that you'll want to have some sort of mission that matters to you in your classroom or at your school or in your community. We encourage you guys all to think really big, but start small and think of what kind of vision or impact you might be able to have immediately. And we'll hear from folks too, but you're definitely going to iterate and change on this vision. So as you're thinking about applying, don't worry too hard about it. You'll see it when we come to the academy. You'll get lots of sparks of innovation and mentors and talking to Googlers and other folks in industry. So iteration will likely happen to your project. And we're also going to encourage folks to share. This community is so strong at building and working with each other on these projects. And of course, looking at data and things that you're seeing from your project for impact and making change on that. So that's a super brief overview of what a project will look like. That will be the heart of what you'll be working on throughout the year. And we already discussed earlier, but you will need to get a Google Certified Educator Level 2 certification in the Google for Education Training Center. We had a really great boot camp on air about that, so we won't dive too much into that process, but we certainly can share those links with you. And the training center is full of information for you to learn how to apply Google for Education pedagogies and tools in the classroom, so that when you get to the face-to-face academy and when you start working with folks online, you've already got that great backbone of Google for Education tools behind you, and you can focus on collaborating and working on these great projects. And I've also included a link to what those might look like in Level 2 if you're brand new to this and thinking about it. The Level 2 Google for Education certificate will give you training in professional growth and leadership, increasing efficiency and saving time, and of course facilitating and inspiring student learning and creativity. So these are what those parts of the examination will look like. So as you're preparing for that, that's what you'll have to look forward to. And finally, and then I'll hear a little bit more from our panelists, here's your dates, but applications are indeed open right now. I wanted everyone to see who's interested. There is a lot of work involved in the community and supporting each other. So you'll see here that you'll want to have that big goal of your project by the end of the year. That's really what we're working towards, and being available for online support and learning and development. All right, if you're ready to apply, like I said, certifiedinnovators.com, that's the link to the application, and you can also nominate. If you're not ready yet, or if you know of a really innovative educator that you're working with, we've had a lot of great nominations come in of leaders and folks in schools from around the globe, so you're certainly welcome to nominate as well. All right, panelists, I think I've done. I want to hear from everybody, why should anyone who's spending their evening with us learning about this program, why should they apply for this program? We have 1,300 certified innovators around the world, 49 countries. I'd love to hear from some of you why you might encourage anyone listening to apply for the program.
I'll go first, and I'll introduce myself as well. So I'm Sandra Chow. I was in MTV 14 in Mountain View, as well as I was a coach at the Mountain View Innovation Academy that just happened, and it was really great. The new iteration of the Innovation Academy is, I mean, when I went, it was amazing as well, and I thought it completely changed how I networked with other people, how I grew, and how I was able to learn from other educators, not only within my region, but all over the world. And the access and the community that you build through this community is really quite amazing. And I found that this new iteration is even more I would say life-changing, because the project that's involved is more involved, and you get a mentor throughout this process. You are really challenging yourself to look at how you're going to teach and how your practice is going to look like, and what ideas you can grow, which is really what this whole academy is about, how we can be innovative as educators and change what education looks like, the education landscape looks like, whether it be in our community or globally. So it's really quite a great opportunity.
Thanks so much, Sandra. Man, if that didn't inspire you to apply, not sure what else will. Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things that I found, you know, the project is going to be a big part of the application and just the overall experience. And we have a lot of, I'll call them restless professionals in education. I've kind of lived on both sides of this paradigm, where my first 5 years in the classroom, I was really kind of stuck with the culture of whatever school that I was working in. And that kind of limited me a lot in both, you know, what I could do, but a lot of it was what I would be exposed to. And then when I worked at the county level, gosh, I got to work with the high flyers in all the districts in our county, and so it was kind of this like frontier. But and whatever side of you are, maybe you have resources and possibilities, or maybe you're just kind of frustrated because of your system. Like the chance to come together and expose yourself to, like I said, this 1,300 teacher network, or most importantly, the 50 or so that you're going to be working with in the next one in Boulder. It's just a chance to get exposure to people and ideas that you otherwise might not, and they're all going to be like you, and so that's the best part.
Awesome, thanks, Sergio. Anyone else have more to add about community or what this program has meant to you, and why somebody might want to join us?
I think the big thing is it just gets you. Oh, hey, David's here and he can speak. Let's let him go right now.
Oh man, I appreciate that. So I'm David Holler. Sorry, I was the awkward guy who was awkward before. I would just say that question sort of answers itself, because if you're the type of person who should be a Google Innovator, not applying would feel weird. It's really just who you are. You're probably already doing these things. You're probably already working on some project to change the way things work in your division or your state or whatever. So applying is just sort of getting validation and joining a community of people. Sergio said it best. You're just going to meet a bunch of people that are exactly like you. So, sorry, James, back to you.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I think, you know, the biggest thing for me is just giving you permission, feeling like you finally have permission to do what you've always wanted to do in education. Like, you know, if you were watching this call or happen to find yourself watching this, like, you are the right person to apply. You've sat in, you know, I sat in my classroom and wanted to do this or tried to do that, or was afraid of, if I did this, would I get in trouble, or, you know, whatnot, and hope to have that, would my administrator give me the day off to do X, Y, or Z. You know, if you're somebody who thinks about, you know, the possible and has the courage to take a first step, there's nothing more comforting than the Google Innovator community to lean into and be able to to use as a sounding board for it. I think, you know, every project I've worked on is kind of done in the spirit of the Google Certified Teacher, now Google Certified Innovator program, and it's a huge boon for finally having a place where we can belong and be a weird educator.
I love it. Thanks so much, James. And it's been so exciting to see what can happen with all of you when you do give that freedom that David, Sergio, Sandra, James talk about, that tribe, as it said, with amongst folks in the community. So it's really super special. So thanks everyone for sharing with that about why you might want to apply. Some great questions coming in. Please keep them coming in. We'll answer some of those in just a moment as we hear from a few more of the panelists, but really great questions coming in. Again, on the Plus page, or you can hashtag Google EI to ask you guys some questions about your vision, your application, and maybe why you might want to join. And hopefully you add all these awesome educators to your network right now. Use this chance that you're investing to learn as a chance to grow your community right now. So if you see these guys on Plus or on Twitter, please add them to your network and keep learning with them. Even now, before you even join the community, you'll see that everyone loves sharing and collaborating with their projects. So regardless if you're in the community or not, it's a great chance to build your network. All right, panelists, let's hear a couple more ideas before we dig into our questions. So we've heard a little bit about why someone might want to apply. But most of the questions for folks, I think everyone here wants to be a part of this network and have heard about the program and what might be possible. We wanted to just share a little bit about the application itself, and all of you have gone through this application or other applications to join a community or a program, and it can kind of be a harrowing experience. Obviously, it's an investment of time, but hopefully it's a chance for you to think about, regardless of this program, ways you might want to make a difference in your classroom. And hopefully that's a fruitful experience in and of itself. But I did want to share, as you're opening up the certifiedinnovators.com website, as you're looking at the application, a pro tip is you can actually force copy this Google Doc that will get all the short answers ready for you so you can think about it a little bit. And there's not too many short answers in there. I don't know if Michelle, if you wanted to do a quick overview of maybe just what the application looks like, that would be awesome.
Well, I can do that. So when you go into the doc that Wendy has mentioned, it gives you a really great background on the questions that you're going to be answering. The application itself is just a Google form. So you're going to be submitting those answers on a Google form. The first question is kind of a fun one. If someone designed a T-shirt that describes you perfectly, what would it say? And then it gets into other questions, demographic information, but questions that really help us get to know who you are and you know, where you get your advice, where you seek learning, and then of course about your vision. We want to know what your vision is for education. Someone did post a question in the event, so I'll maybe answer that now. Ishmael, you asked how detailed does your the innovation have to be, and I think this goes. This is an answer that for every one of those questions on your application, the more detailed you are, or the better you can set yourself apart from everyone else, the better off you are. So Ishmael, to answer your question, how detailed should you be? Well, we want to read that and go, wow, that's an excellent idea. Even your T-shirt, we want to be able to read that and go, wow, that's awesome. You're put up against, you know, hundreds of other applicants, and we just really want you to stand out. So whatever that takes, whether it be more detailed, more creative, those are the kinds of things that we'd be looking for.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle, for the overview, and really just open that doc and just start thinking, and maybe as you're having dinner tonight with your family or this week work with your colleagues, just start thinking about, these are really great questions for fodder for yourselves and your community of educators as well. So hopefully you can start thinking about that ahead of time. But anyone else on the panel? I know our Mountain View folks worked on a similar application, and some of our old schoolers have been through various differentiations of what an application looks like to help find these innovators. That's really what we're trying to do, is find community members that'll work great with us. Anybody have anything to share about this application in particular, or just an application in general of trying to share your experience of innovation, because that's really been a thread amongst all of the program applications in the past?
I'll share. I really try to make my application just reflect who I was, but I also had 2 or 3 people that were coworkers or good friends that I respected their opinions take a look at it and just let me know what didn't make sense to them, what they didn't understand. Same with my video. I actually made my video twice because the first time I decided I wasn't that happy with it, and I redid it. Not that you need to stress over the video, but it was just helpful to me to have feedback from people to look at it. And when you're making it and you're so involved in it, sometimes you don't step back and think about it how someone else would look at it. So those were just things that helped me.
That's awesome, Marlene. And are you the one with the bird? Was that a bird tweeting in your background? I heard a beautiful bird tweeting.
I didn't hear anything.
Awesome. Anyone? That's really great advice, though, to just share it and hopefully even feel, if you look at the Google EI hashtag right now, some folks have felt brave enough to share their thoughts in their video or their vision slide deck, which are the other 2 components to the application, being short answers to hear about your innovation experience and your ideas, and then a video and slide deck explaining that to the community to hear what exactly that might look like. So thanks, Marlena, for those tips. Anyone else have tips to share when diving into an application? Yeah.
Just about the video, one thing, I watched this same Hangout before I applied to MTV 16, to the Innovator Academy, and something that really helped me was, I can't remember who said it might have been Michelle, but for the video portion, it's actually not about creating the most formal, professional video. It's really about the message that you're trying to send to communicate your vision, and that was helpful for me, so that I was concentrating on the right things when I was creating the video, and not about how fancy it could be. So that might not be in my skill set, so that was helpful just to keep that in mind when I was creating the video.
Can I piggyback on that?
Totally.
When we got accepted, we had to watch everyone else's video, and I definitely won the prize for the most boring video. It was just me standing in front of my camera talking, and I was just trying to convey how passionate I was about the idea that I had. And my background is in video. Like, I could have geeked it to the max, but that's not what I wanted to put my time and effort into. And I too watched this Hangout before applying, and the one thing that I heard that stuck out and helped me the most was that they're not looking for a Google fanboy. Just when you apply, make it very obvious what you're passionate about, and show that passion in everything that you're doing. And it doesn't need to be like Google everything as your solution to the problem.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, let's go ahead. You, man.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to piggyback on that, because I think what is important there is that you're focusing not so much on the tools, but on what the problems are. And I mean, we talk about that in tech integration all the time. You don't start with the tool and figure out what it can solve. What's that concept or that issue or that challenge that you have? Those videos that go ahead and they list every single Google app or every single tool or related tool, those don't tend to be as successful, I would say, probably, as the other ones that show exactly what that problem is and what they're trying to solve.
That's exactly what I was going to say. To remember to focus on the problem and come at it from a perspective of what's the big problem and how do you want to solve it. And then the tools are sort of secondary to that. I know in my video, I don't think I even mentioned Google tools, and I think I barely mentioned them in my slides, because it was more about sort of what is the big problem that you want to tackle. So my advice would be to think about something that really like makes you like almost furious, you know, like something that you see in education that you see is like an injustice, where you're like, I can't believe this is happening, and why is no one doing anything about it? And then how are you going to do something about it?
Yeah, and for me, I want to plus one what everyone here has said already. I mean, it's definitely not about the tool, and it's really about the kids, right? And when you're applying and you're going through this process, definitely show your passion, because if you're not yourself, you're not going to get the most amazing experience that you want to get from your cohort. When you are yourself and you are passionate about what your goals are and what you want and how you want to change education, you're going to meet this amazing group of educators who think the way you do and have the same ideas for making a change. And they're going to be your biggest fans, and they're going to be your biggest critics too, but together is how you're going to really bring about that change.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mike, and thanks everyone for sharing examples of passion and how you might want to approach thinking about what your application might look like. We saw some great stuff in the community right now of just sharing, involving your students. There's been some really great videos in the past of, even involving your students and asking them even, right? There's a lot of really great student agency projects that have come from the Innovator program and empowering your students. So definitely, Lorian, involving your students as well. But I do see a little bit of trepidation about 500 characters. So I think Michelle addressed it to be concise and to think of how can I get this across in a pretty readable short format. So great questions coming in, guys. Awesome. I did want to share really quick, everyone, so you can kind of get a sense of what that might look like, is the vision. If you have any particular questions for the panel about the short answers or demographic information that you have to fill out for most applications, let us know. But we're going to move on from those short answer questions, which are asking you about your innovation history, sharing a website that might stand out or display you and your passions the best. That's hard too. You got to think of one thing that you have online that really represents you and you being an advocate for education and change. But we'll switch gears and talk about what that vision might be. What, like Les mentioned, what sits you and do you sit and think about that might anger you or might inspire you to make some change in your situation. And what your vision will look like, and we can hear from the Mountain View folks because they're the first ones to go through this, but you'll have a coach like Miss Sandra there that works with you online before and during and after the actual face-to-face academy. You'll have a mentor who's a current innovator working in some sort of aspect that you might be as well, so you get matched up with someone's interests who are similar to your project, which is really a good reason for thinking about your vision right now and thinking about what aspect of education you want to focus on, whether that's students or curriculum or teacher professional development. What change are you trying to make? Because you'll get matched up with a mentor based on your project. You have your program managers like Michelle, who will be working with you and logistically supporting you. And then you have your community, which here we've got 4 or 5 folks just from the Mountain View last cohort who are here to inspire and share about their experience. We have folks all the way back from years ago. So your actual cohort community and the broader community will all be supporting you on your vision. So this is just the very beginning, and it will change likely, but it's really great for you to just think of something right now, concrete, and think big that you might want to go for, and we might work with you to help you focus it or change based on who you talk to and who you work with. But right now we'll talk about what could that initial vision be. And just your two big things that you have to actually write down about it for the application is your vision deck. So some sort of slide deck that you'll work on, either to share with others or keep growing or sharing with our community. But it actually is meant to be really simple, and it's asking you what Les already mentioned, of just thinking of that problem or the why, like Jay mentioned. Why are you even here? Why are you interested in this program and making change in the classroom? And then, of course, what that project would look like and what kinds of technology would support it. And it's really that simple in terms of what a vision might look like for you. So I think I'll echo that it doesn't need to, you really can make this canvas whatever you want it to look like. There isn't a certain design aesthetic or anything like that we're looking for. And then you have a video component as well, which is a different interpretation, right? So I encourage folks to use this deck as your skeleton of thinking and brainstorming what your vision is, and then think of a really intriguing way that you could display that and share that with other folks to get them excited about your vision, because that's really what you're going to end up doing is helping create change. So if you're not excited about it, then likely others won't be as well. But in terms of vision, guys, I'd love to hear from the panelists, and you can think of, and I wanted to use this as a chance for everyone watching too, to just start thinking about what your vision is. And so we put here, just with the Google for Education program, just what different iterations of vision might take hold in education, and it could be different from this, but here's a lot of the things we see in education: but culture, technology, training or professional development, teaching, learning, and assessment, funding and sustainability, and community outreach. So these are really big buckets, and we really encourage you to think, this is a great starting point of where your vision might fall. It may be completely out of those. I'd love to hear from the panelists to just share, if you're from Mountain View, what's your vision right now, or your innovation project that you're working on, or if you're from a past cohort, what is your vision right now that you're currently working on, right? You may be working on the very same action project, action plan as it used to be called. You may still be working on that very same thing, or you may finished that one or handed that off or scaled that out, and now you're chasing another vision of change that you want to do. So I'd love to just hear, in the spirit of using this as a good brainstorming session for folks, let's hear about some of your visions. Go for it, folks.
I mean, one thing, and this is obviously many of you are working on your project for this one, but I think once you become an innovator, you're always thinking about this in terms of like projects and sprints. So like, for example, like the next project I'm thinking about is like, how can we connect the world more, right? So we finally now have the tools, and this kind of goes back to people talking about the video and how you should go beyond the tool. We get that, the tools are great, and you've been rock star in your classroom. Like, how can we go beyond that? So one of the projects I'm wanting to do is to design a series of lessons where students from around the world are connecting. Like, for example, like if, let's say the lesson is like, all right guys, everybody take a picture of what you had for dinner that night. And so like a student in the US is like, oh, I had this burger. A student in France is like, oh, I had these frog legs, or whatever. And it's like they're sharing that with other students around the world and able to see that like there's more connection. So how can you take these tools and really just take it to the next level? I think that would be a lot of fun. And like, what are those projects that get people thinking like, wow, like I didn't know that was possible.
All right, I'm happy to jump in. I think another thing to think about is like I was saying before, solving problems. So for me, the big problem that I wanted to address was making school relevant for students, and how do we sort of react to the changes in the world, and how does that look in our education system? And I kind of played around with a lot of ideas. In my vision deck, I had like my huge idea, which was I want to start a school that's all based around project-based learning using design thinking as a framework. And then my medium-sized goal was like, okay, maybe I could just help other teachers learn how to do this in their classroom. And then my small goal was like, maybe I should just try doing some of these things in my own classroom. So sort of thinking about how your goal could be scaled at different sizes, I think is important. And trying to go for that big moonshot of like, let's start a school, but realizing that there might be several steps to get there is another way to, I think, sort of narrow down the focus of what your vision is. For me, it's turned into my vision deck actually sort of almost acted as a launch pad for a new opportunity that I'm currently exploring around bringing design thinking to more to teachers in schools across North America, which is a really exciting opportunity. But when I came into it, I was thinking more along the lines of sort of like, how can I work within my own community and my own network to make change? So like sort of the idea that it's like a drop in the bucket. Like your change will have a ripple effect that can spread out, and it could go really big, or it could be something that's more localized.
For me, then when I went to Google Teacher Academy back in 2014, and we were back on the action plans, so we identified needs in our community, and for me, then one of the greatest needs was to get people talking, to get people connected. So my action plan project was to start a Google educator group for the DC area, which we did. But from those connections and from that dialogue, that conversation, something kind of clicked in my mind. And while speaking to another friend, then the idea for EduMatch was born. So what that was is just pretty much a global PLN. So it's evolved, and really without having gone through the Google Teacher Academy, as it was called back then, then I really don't think that would have happened. So
that's awesome, Sarah. And I think things like GEGs and communities, and it's been so neat to see that happen as part of people's projects, and creating and starting some of these movements has been really exciting to see. And I really like Les's explanation of kind of thinking small but also thinking big at the same time, right? I don't know if anyone here has if you're watching on the Plus event, go ahead and share maybe what that initial problem or that itch or that what are you thinking about right now. Feel free to it's a safe space to share maybe something you're thinking about. What is that initial change you want to make? And I don't know if anyone on the panel wants to share maybe how that looks like, either if it's small within your classroom, and then what could that bigger iteration look like. And really this community helps you slide along that scale of wherever it might be, but thinking big and thinking what could be possible, like Sarah mentioned, of thinking of a larger community or what's actionable right now. I'd love to hear from the panel about that.
Well, I think a phrase that keeps coming up, Wendy, it sounds a lot like what you just said, is think big but start small. And so that could look like something that you start in your classroom, and then you might grow it to your school. Maybe you try to create a program that other schools can replicate from there, whatever it might be. I mean, just for example, off the top of my head, this is actually not one of the applications, but my mom's a 7th grade teacher, and she's built a whole program around helping the kids essentially reach out and do something real in their neighborhood. You could look at it as a community service project, but it's a lot more than that. And now she's building an awards program around it. She wants to create a curriculum that can export it to other schools. And so you should have the sort of like change the world version of it, but also have the where do you start version of it. And kind of with that in mind, the other advice I like to give people around the project applications is it doesn't need to be fully baked. I think better to be something you're really passionate about, better to take aim at the big problems that you see and sort of put initial ideas on paper, even if they're not fully baked. Because by the time you get to the event and after going through a couple days of the Academy itself, never mind the full year of support from Google, that's gonna you're gonna iterate on that idea many times. You might pivot entirely once you start digging into things. But taking aim at the bigger programs would be, I think, a good place to start. And if you start small and over time, you have liftoff on your rocket or your broomstick or whatever your flight vehicle of choice might be, then that's ideal. But I guess that's not to go too far with that. But the idea that start small, think big, go after those big problems, and apply your own creativity to possible solutions.
I think also there was a great opportunity to, as Mark said, to iterate and while we were there. And I know that on the plane ride to Mountain View, I was with Sandra, and I told her all about my idea, but that I had something else in the back of my head. And then while we were there, we learned all about iterating and pivoting, and it was really helpful, and I ended up completely changing my entire plan, and now I'm doing something totally different, which I'm really excited about. And it's sort of the mix of starting small and hoping to go bigger, and I loved the freedom while we were there to iterate on ideas and potentially pivot if necessary.
Well, one of the things I'd like to mention, I found this interesting at the last Innovator Academy, was that teachers have a hard time sometimes not focusing on the solution first. They come up with a problem and they immediately jump to, oh, we can solve it this way, that way, and this other way. And what we try to get people to do is throw some of those ideas out and kind of start with a clean slate to look at everything kind of afresh. But I think it's just our human nature as teachers to try, when we're posed with a problem, to immediately try and solve it, and that's a hard thing to back away from. But you need to in order to iterate, in order to be able to pivot on that.
Awesome, thanks, Jade. It sounds like folks are sharing some of their initial ideas in different forms in the Google Plus event page. Jennifer sharing science review, Austin sharing kind of jumping off of James' initial kind of connection or community chat, sharing a mapping connection place. Jennifer shared some cool stuff about Walk My World project. So already just from this hangout, some really great ideas starting to bubble up, and hopefully you're just starting to see this is really emulating what it's going to be like working with the community, and even just here sharing with people interested in applying what your thought or your vision or might be. So thanks folks for sharing in there. I don't know if anyone else will take maybe one more from the panel. Just looks like somebody wanted, Trevor was looking for another example of what a project might look like. Did anyone want to share either their current project now or one that they worked on in the past as an action plan?
I'm not going to share a project, but I just wanted to share that when you're there, I think there was a question about collaborating. It's completely fine to be working with others, and you can take them your ideas and iterate them, but then joining with others and making it even better is a better moonshot, because again, we're joining a tribe and we take each other, warts and all, and join together to do something great that we can change for education. And when you come up with a project, it changes, but you change with each other, and you grow together, and you come up with great light bulbs together, and that's okay. So be prepared that you're going to come in and meet somebody different from yourself, and you're going to join together and do a different project. So for example, it was really great being a coach, seeing the people that were at I was coaching band together and do something great. And I mean, David, maybe you can share your project, because it's really percolating and growing, and it's great to see that 3 people who had completely different ideas joined together and are really doing some great projects now. Or Kim can share too.
Okay, so while I was at the academy, I was having a conversation with another cohort member, Natalie, and we were just talking, and the phrase kept popping into my head, man, I wish I knew then what I know now. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, I wish I knew then what I know now. So I completely pivoted, and I decided I would love to be able to organize ed tech team-like summits for faculties of education, for pre-service teachers. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to connect with universities around Canada, potentially the States, with another cohort member, with Nate Yabowski, and that partnership came from the academy, and that's what we're working on. We're trying to bring summits to pre-service teachers, because wouldn't it be great if they had access to ideas about innovation in education, an introduction to Google tools, or just problem-solving strategies that they could be using in their classroom, like design thinking, before they get into the classroom. So that's what I'm working on.
Awesome, Kim, and I think you answered one of the questions that came up in the event page, but our higher ed folks involved. So it's really great to hear the university background and collaboration that you're doing with university folks. So if you're wondering, you know, if your tribe includes a K-12 teacher or a higher ed or whatever background you might be in and what role you might be in, there's a place for you for sure. So you know, even industry folks or you know, tech directors or integrators, so there's all sorts of different roles. So we hope that the more and diverse roles that we do get in the community, the better for us, because we get to learn and collaborate with you. So we hope to include higher ed and all sorts of different roles in as well. Cool, guys. Well, if you have more to share about your visions or what you've done or what you're working on now, keep those in mind. I'm going to switch and make sure we get to a lot of these questions. And thanks, attendees, for sharing your vision. Keep sharing those, and we can kind of just workshop those asynchronously. Hopefully, panelists, if you don't mind responding or sharing ideas, already attendees amongst each other are kind of building upon each other's ideas. So hopefully you can use this time as a chance to do that. But let's look at some of your questions. There's a whole bunch coming on. So I'm going to, you can use the Q&A function, and you can also just drop it directly into the event as well. I'm going to go ahead and let's look at Adam has asked, since we're talking about vision, and panelists, feel free, anyone can pipe in if they've got an idea for it. But when you're looking at a vision idea, sometimes they're often similar to each other. And I think, Michelle, you brought this up earlier, but should an applicant think about that, or think about if you're looking at your vision and it sounds like one that, you know, is quite a few visions or things that we're all working on in education. Any tips for how somebody might set theirs apart if it is something like, I want to, you know, start a new program for this or start something for this? Any advice for Adam thinking about how to differentiate a project from someone else's?
I think we definitely see a lot of projects. So again, going back to what Michelle was saying, making yours stand out. And it's about Innovation Academy. So if you see the same thing going through over and over again, it doesn't feel innovative. But innovation doesn't necessarily have to be in the idea. It could be in the process. It could be in even how you approach it. And so just having some kind of even though you might be doing something about in-service teachers, for example, or something about coaching. For example, Kim's idea was fantastic, being able to provide coaching for in-service teachers. You're still providing PD, but it's just a little twist that people haven't thought of, and what a great idea. So just thinking about just how you're going to tweak it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandra. Really great idea. Thanks, Adam, if you have any other questions around that, but that's a really good piece of advice. Thanks, Sandra. I'm pulling up Austin's question here now, but maybe someone has an example of in their project, but access to Google and improving a tool. One of the great things about being part of the Google for Education community is you do get to work directly with Googlers and hear from them and get inspired by them. But you know, somebody might have a feature or a tool that they're working with, or that might not fit the need of their classroom, like My Maps not being in real time. Does anyone have maybe something to share about how you could help influence a technology or even create something that might be missing from something? That's really a lot of what educators do with technology is help identify what might be a gap or how you can fix a piece of technology. Anyone here have something to share? Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually. Andrew Caffrey, who's on my team based out of the UK, he took that up, and he's developing an add-on that helps to solve some problems for teachers in writing and that kind of thing. So with the app script and things like that, if you're into that side, you can definitely help to improve the product itself, which will have a positive impact on kids around the world.
Awesome, thanks, Jay. And what's really cool about that in terms of the technology, I was looking for, somebody else asked about what types of technology it might be, or what if you have limited access to technology. Really partnering with folks. I mean, when we got our cohort together with Mountain View, there's definitely some folks who are interested in things like programming or developing or access, getting their resources to access someone who does, or getting to talk with a product manager about how that works. That technical aspect is definitely a part of this and that partnering. So don't feel if you have an idea for how something should work or a feature that's missing, you definitely can partner with somebody or find the right person to help translate what that could technically look like, for sure. Cool. It looks like Valeria's asked for an administrative project that involves all the teachers community. Absolutely. Let's see. Principals absolutely can be included in the program. So yes, Crystal, we've got quite a few really awesome administrators in the community, and those projects are really interesting and different too, and those are really great to see. So awesome. Please share your project with folks if you're interested in chatting a little bit more about administrators. I don't think we have any. Do we have any practicing administrators on the panel right now? I don't think so. Cool. Let's see. Michelle, do you see any other big questions in the community? I'm just going through the Q&A panel right now.
There was a question, Wendy, and I'm not sure if you've touched on it, just about having people collaborating as applicants. Can we have more than one applicant apply and be accepted to the academy? Did you want to speak about that, or you want me to?
Well, I think we have quite a few people who are interested in collaborating on a project with each other, and for now, because of the way the application is set up, we encourage you to submit your project, but certainly point out that you have your husband in this case with the authors, whoever it might be. Think about and maybe propose that and see what it might look like. Would be probably my piece of advice for that for now, to see what your vision for that might be. Cool. Let's see a few other ones here. Oh, and I think Allie mentioned that too, but just could you theoretically use a technology that doesn't exist yet? Totally, but I think maybe think about what that might look like, and maybe even in your vision deck put what that might look like. I think there's a couple of folks on this program. I don't know if Justin, maybe I saw you pop in, but I know Justin's working on Breakout EDU Digital, and that's kind of creating a technology that, I mean, if you're sitting down and thinking, it didn't exist yet. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that in terms of your vision and your project.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. And James is here, so I don't want to steal the thunder from the actual Breakout. But I really love Breakout, and I realize that sometimes the big thing that could be like hold it back would be the access to the materials, especially that a lot of the times those locks seem to jam and brick. So we tried to think about the technology, how you could do that, and with data validation on forms, we were able to kind of take an existing technology and give it to a different purpose. And then James got wind of it and has been super supportive of it, and I really appreciate it. But we just kind of took something that did exist and repurposed it for something that might not have been the intended purpose of it, I guess.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Keep those questions coming in. I'm just rolling through at this point. Looks like Jennifer's asked if you can become a Google certified coach. There is a Google for Education certified trainer program. So if you go to the Education Training Center, which is linked in the slide deck, which is bit.ly/innovator slides. If you train folks, that's a totally different program, but it's still a really great community, involves a different set of requirements, but hopefully that might be something some of you might be interested in as well. Yay, thanks guys for representing. Now's a great time if you haven't shared yet what your initial visions might be, or if you want to address any specific panelists or their projects in particular, feel free. Melissa's got a question. For the last question on the application, is the mentor someone who actually might be at the academy or someone more general that you'd like to speak to about your vision? That's totally up to you, who you would want to sit down with and share your vision with. We invite you to think big on that one too. Or it could be, somebody who's already in your community. It's really up to you, but you will get a chance to actually pair with your mentor, so don't worry if you have somebody huge who may not actually come or mentor you. That's okay. Really, that question is to find out who would you want to talk with about that. Cool. Let's see. Innovative in rural areas might not be innovative in progressive areas. So that's a really good point too. If you're really thinking about, as you're designing your vision in your deck and your video, what your context is. Sarah brought up, in Atlanta, looking at the needs of her community. So really, that's a great point, that it may not be sound super innovative, but how could you share that, or how could you share that with your teachers to whom this may not be a brand new idea to? How could you make that innovative and that vision different or impactful as well? I'll keep looking for a few more questions. Does anyone have anything to add to that in terms of scaling it or thinking how to make your idea, really resonate with your teachers, whether or not it's a new idea or something that's been around? It's a great thing that we're doing with technology or with the way we're teaching, but how do you get that across to other folks?
I think it's also in telling the story. So you sharing the problem helps to shape what your vision deck is about. So when you're doing your vision deck or when you're doing your video, tell the story of your area and your community and how this is going to impact and be an innovative way to solve the problem that's in your area.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there too. I remember David's video, his initial vision. He was talking about a one-to-one program in the area of Virginia, where one-to-one in some areas might not seem like it's progressive, but the way he was talking about it in a rural area, it was like his vision for it was very innovative, and he was dealing with stuff that might not seem innovative to some other people, but it's all about, like what Sandra was saying, about how you present it.
And it's also just about your passion and the authenticity of it as well, right? Like if it's meaningful to you, that's going to come through in your application. I'm just noticing in the Q&A, Jesse Buckholtz mentioned, you're looking at correctional education and the impact that program could have on offenders in education. That's something that it's obviously meaningful to you, Jesse, and something you may, be already doing, but you can just tell that it's something powerful that you believe in. So that'll come through in the application too.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle, for adding on to that, and thanks, Justin. Great. Looks like, thanks, Nick, for sharing when the next trainer application is, if that's a different program. That's May 18th. Again, the deadline for this is May 10th, so you still have plenty of time to finish your level 2 certification. If you have any questions about that, you can throw that in as well. And then also for your vision deck and your video, you have plenty of time to work on that. So super stoked folks are throwing out their ideas right now, and hopefully you can throw that out to your vision deck. I think Marlena said it earlier when she was here, but feel free to share it with your colleagues and other folks to get feedback on it and get some other eyes on it as well. And I love it. Miss Blunt here has said, don't be lonely. I think that if you're feeling that loneliness, then you're in the right spot, as James mentioned earlier. So hopefully, as you're thinking about this, whether you're the only admin or the only person in your role at your district doing this stuff, this is exactly what you should be doing for sure. Cool. Any other tips to add for the application panelists? I know it's getting late. We'll wrap up here in just a few minutes. So last chance to get any questions in or any tips from our panelists.
Hey, Wendy, Larissa was just asking in the past how many applications have come in for Google EI. What are the expectations for this round? Any comments on that?
Yeah, sure. We definitely had over a few hundred for our last intake, so it always depends on the location and availability of folks, but don't let that deter you. As we mentioned earlier, hopefully you use this as a chance to think about change. If you get into this program, it's great because you'll have support to do it, but hopefully we hope everyone keeps going with their vision and trying to make the change on their own as well, and using great communities that are already out there to help support them. So you're definitely part of a big group of folks wanting to join in, but don't let that deter you, and give it a go. And you can certainly apply again and use these materials as your foundation. And we've had plenty of folks who've tried a second or a third time to get in. And a couple of folks asked when the next ones might be. Your best spot to figure that out would be certifiedinnovators.com. Right there will be your official source, but you can also follow at Google for Education, follow the Innovator Program Plus page, the Google EI hashtag. Any breaking news or updates on when the next Innovator programs might be would show up in those outlets for sure.
I would also suggest we had like a great cohort of MTV16 innovators, and follow the MTV16 hashtag, and then follow the MTV Innovators. Look at their blogs, look at their vision decks, look at their videos. A lot of them posted blogs about their experience. Read those. That will really help you get an idea of just even the vibe or the ideas that were coming through, and that will help you as you shape your vision and your application.
I think another thing that I took away from this is how collaborative the experience really is, and not competitive. So I think that, like, if there's other people in your area that are also applying, or you know someone else who's applying, don't feel like you need to sort of have this like secret, like, oh, I've got this plan and I don't want anyone else to see it because I don't want anyone to take my ideas. But I think like the more you put stuff out there in the world, like put your vision deck out there and ask for feedback on it from people, because I think that that's sort of the spirit of the program, is really all about sharing and collaborating. And the more you can do that with your vision, then the better it's going to be by the time you're ready to submit that final product. So don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask them for help and give you advice on how to put that together.
That said, we did have questions about co-applicants, co-applying, and yes to collaborating and building great things together. But definitely, everybody has to have their own application to the program. And even if your collaborators don't also get in, like, you can still work with them after the fact.
Totally. Thanks, Mark, for clarifying that. Lisa did ask, because that is one of the other requirements for the taking the certification exam, but any efficiency tips? Again, Lisa, we make sure you look in that deck. We've got our whole boot camp hangout that you can watch for level 2 and some tips there. But any quick ones for folks who haven't seen that yet or haven't had too much time to dig in? Anybody have tips for people who, since there is a time limit on taking that exam, would anyone like to share a quick tip for Lisa?
Have a second window open and jump back and forth between them if you need to try something out or whatever. That's not disallowed, if that makes sense. I say it that way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I had a separate tab open with a sheet, a doc, a site, everything I would possibly need, and if there was something I needed to test, I just did it on the spot. I screwed up my classroom website really badly during that, but I was able to. I probably shouldn't have used like a website that was active, but it's all good now.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, I think we've gotten almost everyone's. There was a Spanish language question, and we do have some really great, you know, obviously we're from 49 countries at least spread around, and we do have great Latin American community. We had one of our programs in Mexico, but your reviewers might not all speak Spanish. All the applications are reviewed by current innovators because they're joining folks into the tribe and into the community. So you may just want to make sure, as with the advice with all of the vision deck, your short answers, and the video, making sure it's accessible for all. But if you certainly are in a community that speaks another language, you know, you can feel free to include that, or think of, you know, closed captioning or some other ways so that your idea gets across to the most people possible, for sure. Cool, guys. Well, we'll keep. If you come back to this page, you'll be able to watch it right here. You can also go to the YouTube page. I don't know, Michelle, if you want to check really quickly. I don't know if on YouTube or on the hashtag anything popped up. But we'll come back through here. Hopefully you added folks to your own networks. We'll respond to any stragglers that we didn't get to address on here. But again, all you need to do is go to certifiedinnovators.com. Come back up here. And get started. If you go right there, you can open that doc and start brainstorming what all of those ideas might be before May 10th comes along. I'd love to just ask a fun question. When did everybody here submit their own application? Did we all have late birds who did it right before the deadline, or do we have any early birders on the panel? No,
I got it done early.
A day before, at least a day before. Anyone?
I submitted mine like 20 minutes before the deadline, I think.
I wasn't quite that bad, but I want to say I was like 3 days before the deadline.
I was definitely the day of.
Well, that's what's nice about having, you know, get the doc, get the deck, get your copies going, and just start putting it down there. But do set a calendar invite to remind yourself to actually submit it. But if you forget and you don't get it in this round, or if you don't, a big problem we had for our last, not a big problem, but a technical glitch was not submitting your files in a shared format. So do make sure that when you do actually submit and you're going through all that, do a double check in either another browser or with a different account or incognito mode. Just make sure it's publicly viewable for your video, for your deck, and your submission, and your certificate, right? So you do have to be a level 2 certified educator, and the only way really to show that to the reviewers is by sharing your actual PDF of your certificate. So don't miss out on this round, and do make sure that you double check all that stuff, because the reviewers won't be able to go back and change that afterwards. So just a couple technical pro tips there for you. Cool, guys.
You can try checking with incognito mode, because that always helps you to just make sure that even somebody outside of your domain or something can see it.
Totally. Kind of a good practice for almost anything that you're going to email out or want to double check. That's always a good final check for it as well. Well, awesome, everyone. We really appreciate everybody for joining us on the Hangout today, for having such a nice, lively back channel on the event page. I love that folks like Larissa are already feeling better about their application, and hopefully added some new folks to their network to chat with. But, ooh, really good point about level 2. Almost took you the exact amount of time. Thanks, Lorianne, for sure. And everybody seems to be thanking our panel, and I'll do a final thank you as well, but I know some of them had to go for the time of day that it is for many of us. But thank you guys all for coming and sharing and inspiring our next cohort of innovators. We really hope that you get to hang out with these guys one day, either face-to-face or online. So thank you guys all for coming and sharing your visions and your tips with these prospective innovators.
Thanks for hosting, Wendy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mark.
guys.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you online.